Welcome to Transform Now, a podcast focused on intelligent automation and brought to you by SS&C Blue Prism. On this program, we talk about how organizations globally are rethinking the way they operate, utilizing process orchestration and AI-enabled digital workers to free up humans to do the work that matters most. We also share insights and tips on how you can embrace this new way of working and unleash your full potential. Let's get into the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Transform Now. I'm Brad Hairston.
And I'm Michael Marchuk.
And this is our weekly Pulse Chat, taking a look at what's exciting going on in the market, news items that we found particularly interesting. So, Michael, let's dive right in if we can.
All right.
The first one we have is from The Verge, and it's all about the big Apple announcement that recently happened about Apple Intelligence. The article reads, every new AI feature coming to the iPhone and Mac related to Apple Intelligence. So this would appear to be Apple's first big move in an effort to try to catch up with everybody. With
it's about time, right?
So which of the new AI features did you find most interesting, Michael?
So Apple has been real big on privacy. And so seeing as though their new features will specifically target some of the newer phones that can do the AI on chip. So on your phone, actually having that large language model running on your phone locally. I think that's a huge, huge thing. Mm-hmm. And we talked about this in prior episodes where they're tuning some of these language models to be able to run on lesser devices. So you don't have to go to the cloud, to the massive data centers that are filled with GPUs to be able to do all these massive calculations to create the output. So for me, that's a big plus for Apple to be able to do that. Now, obviously, because some of these features require some horsepower, they are targeting the more recent phones. I think it's the iPhone 15 and above with this kind of feature. But they also linked in the capability of having Siri, which would be the kind of your mouthpiece for their local AI, be able to connect back into ChatGPT to get more complex or complicated responses back. So I think that's great to start local. And if you need more, that I can actually then go phone a friend, if you will, from an AI perspective to get additional input.
Yeah. Some of the other items I thought were really interesting. One is this, what they call Genmoji, this ability to create an emoji on the fly that's specific to you or what you're talking about. We'll see how that turns out. It might be kind of annoying.
I could only imagine the poop emoji getting even more interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I also love this idea of being able to search through your photographs with a Gen AI capability. So, hey, find a picture of 3 people doing cartwheels, because you took a picture, but it's buried in 12,000, photos on your phone or in iCloud. Theoretically, this will get you right there. It'll make it really simple to do that. I think that's really nice. And then finally, I loved the whole idea of personal context. So it knows your calendar, it knows what's in your email, it knows the people you're talking to. So if you say something like, hey, I need to change my appointment with so-and-so, but I need to make sure and not miss my daughter's dance recital on the same day, it will know how to advise you because it has that context. Again, we'll love to see what that looks like in reality when it comes. They said this fall is when these things will show up. So we'll be tracking that for sure.
Absolutely.
So the next article is from CNBC, and it's featuring some words of wisdom from Mr. Kramer. That's Jim Cramer of Mad Money, not Kramer from Seinfeld. Just to clarify.
Good clarification.
And the article is, he explains why some are skeptical of Nvidia's ballooning market cap. Now, I thought this was this caught my interest. We don't talk about hardware a whole lot on the Pulse Check, but this is one you can't ignore. Nvidia is a rocket ship that's going to hit Mars soon. And this article, it was actually an article plus a video featuring Kramer, mentions that Nvidia could soon surpass Microsoft's market cap. But there's many that are suspicious of that, and they're not really buying into it yet. So what did you think of what the article had to say about this topic, Michael?
Well, CNBC's got some pretty good coverage of this kind of stuff. And given the fact that, they're basically covering some of the facts about these companies and their market cap, you can't go wrong on the data doesn't lie, right? Where we kind of get into the question is the why behind it. Why are we seeing this? And these data centers that have been built up and the announcements that keep on coming from Nvidia are related to the capabilities of AI. So with this AI gold rush, Nvidia is selling shovel, right? They are out there, and that's why they're making so much money as they are, because they are creating the capabilities. First of all, it was all of the Bitcoin mining or any kind of crypto mining was all optimized for their GPUs. And so that was their first kind of rush, if you will, in terms of their capabilities. And then leveraging AI now to continue that run. This is a hungry beast. I mean, as you talk about these models, they're only getting larger and more complex and require a lot more compute power to be able to make this happen. And who better to have you have that kind of setup is than that a hardware company like Nvidia, who's coming to the table saying, we understand this is only going to get more complex, and we're going to make sure that you can feed that beast with more and more CPU or GPU hardware power, and that's what they continue to do. So I think that's really what they're doing. And again, the market hasn't been wrong, even though they've made quarter after quarter, they've made these outrageous. We're going to see this next kind of growth. They've beat their growth estimates every single quarter. Again, well, this is not a financial talk show here. You have to wonder, they're making aggressive statements, and then they're beating them. And that's because they are seeing the need and they are fulfilling it as these organizations are, continuing to grapple with how best to fulfill these AI requirements.
Yes. And for those keeping track, Nvidia their market cap is 2.8 trillion. Microsoft is 3.2 trillion. So there's still some distance between them. But Nvidia is right behind Apple. Apple's 2.9 trillion. So they're $100 billion
I will give you an update to that. As of right now, Microsoft is 3.27 trillion.
Okay.
And Nvidia is 3.18 billion. So they are neck and neck when it comes to
Apple. You're telling me they passed Apple?
Apple's market cap is 3.27. So Apple's 3.27. Microsoft is 3.27. Absolutely neck and neck there. And Nvidia is 3.18. So
okay,
these are all massive companies. I mean, just a few years ago, was it last year or the year before, whatever, Apple passed the 1 billion mark, and now they're at 3 billion.
Wow.
Nvidia was tripled where they were last year. In fact, the past 3 months, I think they've gone from 2 billion to 3 billion. So this is a massive growth, and it's all fueling this AI, this AI need.
I mean, Nvidia earned its reputation around graphics for gaming, and now they're right in the middle of the AI revolution. So it's a fascinating story. In the article, Kramer mentions that he prompted 2 different large language models to ask questions about Nvidia. Both of them came back and referred to Nvidia as a parvenu, which I don't know if you knew what that word meant, Michael. I did it. I looked it up. It's something or a person of obscure origin who has gained wealth, influence, or celebrity. So I think that's a good word for it. And of course, 2 different large language models agreed on that.
Excellent.
Well, our third article is from Futurism, and it's titled AI Systems Are Learning to Lie and Deceive, Scientists Find. Now, this is a pretty alarming piece. Just take the title as is. And then as you start to read it, it starts referring to two recent studies that seem to suggest that large language models can be encouraged to be intentionally manipulative and deceptive. By the end of the article, I felt a little bit differently, but let me hear your thoughts about this.
So, we've all heard about and probably experienced the hallucinations that AI would provide as it created information to answer your question, your prompt, the way it felt like it could. And we've all seen that. This is more an intentional kind of activity. And I think there's some avenues behind this where there's the training or the rules that are being provided are encouraging that kind of activity. So in general, like anything else, when you were encouraged the rules to be made such that lying is acceptable or is encouraged in order to get the reward.
Right.
I think some of the things that they did here were they were actually playing a political strategy board game that where the rules do encourage lying and manipulation as part of the way that you can win the game.
Yeah.
So that is sort of the back text or context of what they were trying to do. What's kind of scary in my mind, though, is this gets back to that concept of if you can create the correct situation or scenario where lying is encouraged, then there's all sorts of activities that AI, where we're considering this to be a benevolent kind of thing, can be actually turned against ourselves because of the people who are using it. So just like anything else, a bat can be used for baseball or a bat can be used to create a crime, right? So that's how we look at it. The tool is being used in a way that was intentionally manipulated to create deceptive responses.
Yeah. To me, the turning point in the article is when they mentioned that the research was revolved around this game that involves deception. So, and the large language model that they were drilling into was Meta's Cicero model. Meta came back in response to the research and said, we taught the model to be deceptive because that's what it required. The game itself requires deception in order to win. So I thought it was a good response. I think it made me feel better that they did that. On the other hand, you're right. It does raise the question about, well, if LLMs can be trained to be manipulative and deceptive, that's something we need to be on the lookout for. So it just heightens the need for guardrails, for audit trails, for source transparency, all those things.
Absolutely, because the first thing that came to my mind as we started thinking through these things, I often go to movies as the very first kind of context for me. And Ex Machina was the movie that came to mind first in terms of AI manipulation of humans to deceive. And so again, the training and the reward systems and the activities that are surrounding it are all part of that same context. If you are going to if you want that kind of outcome, it can produce it for you. And if you train it well enough, maybe it could do it very well.
Yep. Absolutely.
So speaking of nefarious activities, I also wanted to bring up one last thing, which is this is the 25th anniversary. This June is the 25th anniversary of Napster. And
interesting.
I know that, from a long time ago, I may or may not have used Napster. As well as the other 80 million people who may or may not have used it as well at one point in time. But what was interesting is that this is something that actually changed the face of the way we experience music. Rather than having to get physical copies of something, now we were all experiencing this capability of downloading, which now is natural and normal to us as we stream from every device we have. And either we pay for it or we pay for it with ads that we listen to, kind of like the radio model. The reality is that it changed the way that we experience music and the way that music was distributed. So
no doubt.
I just wanted to call that out. 25 years ago, this was something brand new, and now it really changed the industry. So what's going to happen 25 years from now?
Yeah, and if you saw The Social Network, you know that the Napster guy had a big role in the launch of Facebook. Well, thanks for making that known, Michael. That is an interesting anniversary. And that's all the time we have for the Pulse Check. Be sure and listen to our other podcasts that we publish every week. We have incredible guests on each week. And we thank you for listening to Transform Now. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Transform Now, the podcast from SS&C Blue Prism. You can find all of our episodes on your favorite podcast channel, as well as YouTube. To stay on top of the hottest topics in the world of intelligent automation, subscribe now. The future of work is here.